for clicking on my video, and my question to you is what now? I know you've been watching the news, and I know you see all the things that are happening with Donald Trump and his administration. So I wanted to talk about that today. And what I want to say is thank God that we have three branches of government. The framers of our Constitution knew that if they allowed one branch of government to have too much power, that we ran the risk of living in a country that was ruled by a dictator. So the three branches of government are the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And I just wanted to talk briefly about what each branch of the government does so we can get a better understanding of what's going on right now. Now, what I'm giving you guys is a very simplified version of what these three branches of government do. So the first one, the legislative branch, it's headed by Congress, and that includes the House of Representatives and the Senate. The main task of these two bodies is to make the laws. Its powers include passing laws, originating spending bills, which that's what the House does, impeaching officials, that's what the Senate does, and approving treaties. The executive branch is headed by the president. The president carries out federal laws and recommends new ones. He or she directs national defense and foreign policy and performs ceremonial duties. The president's powers also include directing government, commanding the armed forces, dealing with international powers, and acting as chief law enforcement officer, and as well as vetoing laws. The judicial branch. It's headed by the Supreme Court, and its powers include interpreting the Constitution, reviewing laws, and deciding cases involving states' rights. So now that we have that out the way, let's talk about what Donald Trump is doing with our Constitution. Basically, Donald Trump, in my opinion, is trampling all over the Constitution. He's taking that Constitution and ripping it up, ignoring everything that the framers set forth for our government. And he's doing it his way. Like I said in my last video, everything that we're seeing now happening has never happened before. It's unprecedented. We have a president that is shutting out different departments of the government. He's telling them that when there are certain meetings in the White House, that they have to ask permission to attend. Now that's unprecedented because you want like the Joint Chiefs of Staff and all of the important departments in on those meetings, because when they're making decisions for the country, all of them need to be up to speed on what's actually happening within the country. Are you following me on that? Does that make sense to you? I wanted to try to do this in a way that I understand it as just, the average person, sitting at home trying to make sense of all this. We always hear about the Constitution and how if something is constitutionally right. And, as the average person sitting at home, we don't understand all of this. So I wanted to try to take my time and basically understand what's going on, because when you watch television and you see all this stuff that Donald Trump is doing, one thing after another, you start to worry. I even had one of my subscribers say that they're actually afraid of, the state of our country, with people protesting all out in the street every weekend. They said that they were afraid because this man has only been in office for 10 days now, and he's already causing all of this confusion. And what I told that person is, don't be afraid. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we have. And the only thing that we can do is fight back. resist. There's something out there called the resistance, and these are all these people that you see that are rushing in trying to help, trying to make sense of what's going on, basically explaining it to us and trying to make sure that constitutional laws have not been broken and people's rights are not being trampled over. You know, we don't want a government that feels like it's being ruled by a dictator. And with the way that Donald Trump is starting out, in my opinion, that's what it feels like. You know, he's putting all these people, you know, in his cabinet that make you kind of side-eye them. You know, like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to destroy every department, you know, that we have in our country? Are you trying to destroy it? And if so, for what reason? Now, just recently, he imposed an immigration ban. And right after he did that, the country went crazy. You know, there are protests all out in the streets, and people are just, you know, basically, to use a word that my grandmother uses, flabbergasted at what's going on. Now, this immigration ban, y'all, and this complete shutdown on Muslims entering the United States. To be honest, I don't understand all of this. And I know what it feels like as the average American. It feels like they're targeting one group. And that doesn't feel right in my spirit. It just doesn't. You know, like I said, we are the average people, and we're sitting here watching all of this stuff. And the first thing that comes to my mind is you start with the Muslims, and then you will eventually start to target, you know, other groups of people. And you know, when they do that, of course, as black people, we are next. And that worries me. And that's why people are out in the streets, you know, protesting, all up in arms, worried about where is this headed. You know, you got a 5-year-old at the airport being detained without that 5-year old's parents. You know, that is ridiculous. You handcuff a 5-year old, you don't allow the child's mother to at least come back and be with the child until you can sort out everything that's going on. You know, what kind of country are we when we're doing this? Now, Donald Trump said that it was only 109 people and that basically it was a glitch in Delta's computer system that had caused all of the confusion. You know, does he think we're stupid? Does he not think that we're watching all of this go down and that we're not seeing that our country is headed for trouble messing with him? I mean, really, y'all. It's like insulting the intelligence of the American people. We see what's going on. We see it. You got lawyers rushing to the airport, congressmen rushing to the airport to try to get these people that have been detained out of the airport. You got the ACLU having to jump in and fight for individual people one by one, you know, to get them out of the airport. This is crazy, y'all. All of this is crazy. And it it confuses you, it worries you, and then it makes you say, what the hell is next? Like I said, I don't understand all of this stuff, and I'm learning as everyone else is by watching the news and trying to make sense on my own, doing my own little research, because I want to know what's going on. I don't want to be in the dark when it comes to this crazy ass man, y'all, because the way that he's starting out, it is absolutely unbelievable. He's being reckless. He's acting like, you know, like a dictator. And then he has people around him that are yes people, you know, basically afraid to tell him that what he's doing is wrong and that maybe we need to look into this a little bit more before we, you know, put this out there to make sure that everything that we're doing is right. Because from what I'm understanding, what he did was and may not be constitutionally right. Now I know, y'all, that when a president first takes office, that they have to fulfill all the promises that they made to the people that supported them. So, when Donald Trump was running, he was saying no illegals, no refugees, no foreign people, and he's going to build this wall and he's going to repeal Obamacare, and he said all this stuff. So, you know, one thing people are saying is that he is fulfilling what he told these people that he was going to do. But the problem is that he did not win the popular vote, meaning that there were more people when you count them one by one, like 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that there were more people that actually voted for Hillary Clinton. So you actually have the majority of the country actually against him when you're counting them one by one. So that's the group of people that we see out here protesting. Now, you do have his supporters who feel like, yay, he's doing what he said. He's going in there and he's shaking it up like he promised, and that he was going to drain the swamp and he was going to do all this shit that he promised to do. But then you had the rest of us sitting over here like, you psychotic, crazy, disruptive motherfucker. Basically, that's what we're saying. Because when he did this Muslim ban, I don't think they thought this stuff out. I don't think that they went through the proper channels to make sure that it was constitutionally right. So now you have the Attorney General, Sally Yates, who says, wait a minute, something about this is not right, and I cannot defend this order because it's not constitutionally sound. And she basically went against Donald Trump. She stood up to him because she's paying attention and researching the Constitution, and she's finding that what he did was not right. So she cannot defend the order. And what does Donald Trump do? He fires her, y'all. He fires her. Now, basically, what that tells me is that anyone who opposes him, anyone who doesn't go along with his agenda, they're going to be out the door. And basically, that's what his press secretary said yesterday in a press conference that he had. He said basically that if people didn't agree with what Donald Trump said, that they can just go, leave. If you don't agree, then leave. Y'all, this is not how this is supposed to work. You know, they serve at the pleasure of the American people. They work for us. It's not the other way around. They're acting like they're doing us a favor by running the government. So now we have Attorney General Sally Yates out the door. He fired her for standing up to him. And this is the way it's going to be. Now, Jeff Sessions, who is the person that was actually, going to be our Attorney General, has to be confirmed. Now, let's talk about this man. Now, remember this face. This man, Jeff Sessions, is going to be the head law enforcement officer for the United States. You know what he is, y'all? He is a racist, bigoted asshole. This man has a history of racism under his belt. If you do your research on him, you are going to be in shock, wondering why he was chosen to head up the law enforcement agency for the United States. Y'all, in the last couple of years how they have been killing unarmed black men, and you remember years ago when they were doing stop and frisk. Get ready, y'all. Because when you got a racist, a known racist, with ties to the alt-right and KKK and all of that, running the head law enforcement agency for the United States, what do you think that means for us? For any people of color, what do y'all think that means? I told y'all in the other video that I did that we need to pay attention to who they're putting in office. Because with this man, Donald Trump has now got rid of Sally Yates and he's put Jeff Sessions in office, because that's who we're going to have. Will Jeff Sessions' loyalty be to the people of the United States and the Constitution, or will it be to Donald Trump? Now, Sally Yates stood up to him, but will Jeff Sessions? This is another one of Donald Trump's, I call him henchmen. You have all these people again that when they were chosen, we were sitting there thinking, why did this person get chosen? They know nothing about this department. They are actually bad for the department. I think, like I said earlier in this video, that Donald Trump is trying to crumble the very foundation of the United States of America. And my question is, why? Why? So anybody that now stands up to him, they run the risk of being thrown out. What kind of government is that, y'all? Does that sound like the government of the United States, what we've known so far? Or does it sound like those governments that we hear across the waters? What's going on in other countries, how they have dictators in their country. Well, this is what we're getting now. And I want y'all, like I said, to pay attention. Again, I don't understand all this. I'm learning as I go along. And y'all, it is actually disturbing what Donald Trump is doing. And I think, like I said before, I think they have some type of agenda, some master plan. This is why they're putting all these people in office, that when we see who he chose, we're scratching our head like, what is going on? What is the ultimate goal here when you choose someone who is blatantly not qualified for the job, or blatantly, like Jeff Sessions, a fucking racist? So now, y'all, what happens to the Department of Justice? How will it run? What will it be like under a racist like Jeff Sessions? What do we have to look forward to as people of color? Are we paying attention to what's happening to us? What our future holds? I don't know, what's going on. I just know this, that, Donald Trump he's coming in and he's doing things that I don't think are beneficial for this country. Not only did he get rid of Sally Yates, he also removed the head of ICE. This guy's name that headed ICE was Daniel Ragsdale. And he replaced him with this other guy by the name of Thomas Holman. Now, ICE is the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency. And basically, it's exactly what the name says. They enforce immigrations and customs. Now, think about it. You had Sally Yates, who stood up to Donald Trump about this immigration ban and this Muslim ban, and because she felt that it was unconstitutional. So he got rid of her. And then he got rid of the now acting head of ICE to replace him with someone that he wanted. So is this new person, this Thomas Holman, is he going to be another yes man? Is he going to be loyal to the people of the United States, or will he be loyal to Donald Trump? Will he uphold what is written in the Constitution, or will he serve definitely at the pleasure of Donald Trump? Meaning, is he going to be a yes man? And I think the answer to that is yes. Because Donald Trump is surrounding himself, once again, with people that are loyal to him, not loyal to this country, but loyal to him. And one of those people that, you know, is in Donald Trump's ear, who's guiding Donald Trump, is someone that we really should be afraid of. And that man, his name is Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon, they say now, will have a permanent seat on the National Security Council. And that is, again, unprecedented. You know, this man who is the head of Breitbart, who is another known racist, y'all, with ties to the alt-right, ties to KKK. All of this is being put in office. All of these people are being put in places of importance in our government. Why, y'all? What is the plan? Why is he assembling a cabinet that is full of racist and unqualified people for this position? Now Steve Bannon, y'all, is said to have the biggest influence on Donald Trump, the biggest influence on shaping the government for which Donald Trump is going to rule from. Think about it, y'all. He's a known racist. What does that mean for us? What are they doing? What type of cabinet are they assembling? When you have the likes of a Steve Bannon now sitting in on national security meetings. You know, this is something that years from now, when we have children and grandchildren and they are reading their history books, all of this will be written up in their history books, and it will be explained fully, you know, what Donald Trump was trying to do with this administration that he's assembling. Y'all, I think we're in trouble, and I think that we need to fight back. We need to, you know, be part of the resistance. The people who are out there trying to defeat Trump's agenda, who are out in the streets, who are protesting, who are going to the courts and fighting, you know, to make sure that the things that Donald Trump is doing are constitutional. Because right now, I fear that what is going on now is going to resonate for years to come. You know, some of the things, if this man doesn't get impeached, it's going to really damage us. It's going to really hurt us. And it's going to make living in this country, oh man, harder than what it's ever been. Now, I just wanted to come in today and just talk about this, you know, as a woman that's just, like I said, not understanding all this, but trying her best to figure out what the hell is going on. I'm just the average person like y'all. But I'm sitting here watching this every day, you know, these 10 days that he's been in office, and I'm saying to myself, what is going on in our country? You know, we started all this with Donald Trump having ties to Vladimir Putin, and, you know, maybe Putin having a hand in our election and all of that. And now he's in office and he's starting his bullshit, y'all. So what I'm telling y'all is be a part of the resistance. I don't know what shape or form that will take for you in your life. But what I'm saying is fight back and pay attention to what's going on. Because as I said in other videos, when the shit goes down, when all of the shit hits the fan, it's black people that always get the worst of it. And I don't want that for us, y'all. I want us to be ready this time. I want us to band together this time. I want us to pay attention this time. Because y'all, I'm telling you, this stuff is fucking crazy. It is literally just unbelievable to watch. Especially when you don't understand everything, but you can tell by the tone of the news announcers and, you know what they're saying, that what he's doing is just not the way that it's supposed to be done. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I just know that we got to fight back. We got to be part of that resistance that's out there. And with that, y'all, I'm going to just end this video. You know, I didn't want to make it so long, but I realized that it's gone longer than what I intended. So you guys have a great day, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are down in the comment section. So just drop down what you feel. Don't be ashamed, because like I said, I'm with y'all. I don't understand all this stuff. I just know that I'm worried about our country. You guys, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.